Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome. B'ezrat Hashem, tonight we're starting a new Torah, the Torah Daled, Likutey Moharan II, the second Chelek. Ubiyom HaBikurim, this the Rebbe brings a pasuk, Bamidbar be'akrivchem, mincha chadosh ol Adonai, as you're bringing a new mincha to Hashem, be'shvu oseichem. This after the sphere, this is Chag HaShavuos, Nikra Kodesh Yelochem, the calling of Kodesh, that will be for your kol meleches avodah lo yisasu, any kind of work you will not do. That's the pasuk, and now the Rebbe starts the Torah, the Mahalach. We will know afterwards what was meaning, what the Rebbe's meaning was with this specific, how the entire meaning of Rebbe's Torah is embedded in this mimer. Says the Rebbe in Siman Aleph, where the story of Yoanovi. Yoanovi, there's a story, Yeshua gets into Eretz Yisrael, he conquers Yericho. Now, the taking down of Yericho was a momentous and miracle-filled occasion. Am Yisrael goes to Yericho, and the Kohanim carry the Aron Kodesh, and they don't wage war. They don't do anything. The only thing they do is Am Yisrael is surrounding Yericho. Kohanim with Aron Kodesh first, and the surrounding Yericho. And each time they finish one circle, they are blowing the shofar. And by the Yericho was like the most fortified city-state in Eretz Yisrael. Was such an appreciated and precious commodity that every king in Eretz Yisrael, there were 31 of them, that every king in Eretz Yisrael had a residence, had a villa, a dacha, in Shalom Aleichem, Likutey Moed, had a summer house, a winter house, or whatever you want to call it, in Yericho. That's that was the status symbol, to have a pied à terre in Yericho. Nobody was able to conquer it, and so Yeshua goes. The Am Yisrael, the surrounding Yericho, the Aron Kodesh, Kohanim is carrying the Olim. Kohanim is carrying the Aron Kodesh. And every time they finish circle and circling, Kofe Aleph, Atkana Kofe Aleph, they're bluesing the shofar. Atkana Kofe Beis, they're bluesing the shofar. 7 times, the 7th time, and in the meantime, at first the people of Yericho, well, they were very, very scared. They expected Am Yisrael to attack them, but when they saw that all they were doing was just surrounding Yericho, so they found it, to be not only futile but actually quite amusing. They were standing on the wall and they were jeering. Am Yisrael goes once, twice, 3 times. The 7th time they blew the shofar, and the walls of Yericho came tumbling down. Part of it was swallowed in the ground, and the whole thing just okay. And that was the end of Yericho as we know it. Oh man! So Yeshua declared that Yericho is going to be cherem, and no one is allowed to partake of anything, of the shalal, of the loot of Yericho. And then with this famous occasion with Achan that did take from the loot, took some gold, some furs, and himself he was killed, the mitzvah of Hashem, and Yeshua puts a curse on anybody who will ever build the city of Yericho. And he says that the one who rebuilds Yericho, he will put the foundation. When he'll put the foundation, that his first son, will die. And when he finishes, and all the children will die. By the time he finishes, they'll put down put up the gates. This is when his smallest son will die. And so it happens in the time of Achal Novi. There's a person that decides that, this real estate opportunities is just too much to be overlooked by all kinds of, superstition, and so he starts building it. Sure enough, when he puts down the foundations, his first son dies. No. That's this. I think it was his relative. I'm not sure. His friend, relative, whatever. I forgot his name. The Gemara says it's in Sanhedrin, I think. And when he finally puts up the gate, the smallest son is buried. Dies, and he sits down. He's a mourner. He says Shiva. So all the who's and who's in the land come to visit him. Menachem and all, and Achov is there, and Eliyahu Novi is there. It's a pretty exalted company. Come to think of it, it's like, and so they ask. Achav says, he asks Eliyahu, do you think that the destruction of Yericho is due to the klala of Yeshua? So Eliyahu Novi says, no doubt, obviously. So Achav, has a klotz kasha, this as a heretical kasha, and he says, who is greater, the Rebbe or his student? Obviously, the Rebbe. He says, Moshe Rabbeinu says that if Am Yisrael will serve Avodah Zarah, will worship Avodah Zarah, there'll be no rain, there'll be famine. And he says, oh man. So Achav says, in Eretz Yisrael, it says there is no single plow line. We're starting Torah Daled, Likutey Moharan Tanina. On every line of in the field that they plowed, They put a avodah zarah on it, put an idol on it, which Kadosh Baruch Hu allowed to have such powers that the plants, everything grew up the same day. The same day. Such a type of avodah zarah, Kadosh Baruch Hu allowed it to have such koiches that. So he said, "Look, everybody here is serving avodah zarah, and nothing happens." He says, "We have like the best years ever, as far as produce and everything. And take a look. There's chasalat, glatalim, whatever you want. I mean, there's fruits, everything, So he says, if the curse of the Rebbe of Moshe Rabbeinu, didn't come, you want to tell me that the curse of Yeshua, his Talmud, did come about? That the reason why the children of the builder of Yericho died is because of that curse. So now Eliyahu Novi was not the right person to start up with. It was just not. There are quite a few episodes in the Tanakh about the Gemara says the end of Masechet Sanhedrin. The Gemara says that Rabbi Meir says Eliyahu Novi is a kapdon. He's short fuse. Now Eliyahu Novi would come to learn with Rabbi Meir every day. So after he said that Eliyahu Novi is a kapdon, 3 days Eliyahu Novi doesn't come to learn with him. So when he comes back, he says, "Why didn't you come learning with me for 3 days?" He says, "Because you said that I'm a kapdon." You know what I mean? He says, "You see a raya. I said this about you. You didn't come for 3 days. I mean, what greater proof do you need? That you're a kapdon." Anyhow, there's another episode with Eliyahu Novi. I think it was with Yehoram, the son of Achav. I'm not sure. With Achav or his son. And the Melech comes up with a decree to arrest Eliyahu Novi. Eliyahu Novi is sitting outside the town on a hill. So just open it up, being that we're recording, so there'll be less rustling in the recording. Just go ahead, open it up. There you go. There you go. So Eliyahu Novi is sitting on top of a hill. So there comes a platoon of soldiers, and it says, he looks at Eliyahu Novi sitting on top of the hill, and he says, "Are you Isha Elokim? You're the man of Hashem." The king said that you're supposed to come down and come with us. Well, you don't talk to Eliyahu Novi that way. So Eliyahu Novi said to him, "If I am the man of Hashem, fire will come down for the Shemaim and consume you and all your people." Well, that's the claim to fame. Eliyahu Novi, fire coming down from the Shemaim, bada bim, bada boom, consumes the entire platoon. Okay. So the king sends another platoon with another with another commander, and they come to Eliyahu Novi. Same story repeats again. You Eliyahu Novi Yisha Elokim. The king orders you to come and join me. You are under arrest. Well, now Novi says the same thing. If I'm Yisha Elokim, fire will come down, and consume you and all your people. This is exactly what happens. The third time, the platoon commander comes with a whole platoon, and he gets down on his hands and knees, and he crawls up the hill and begs Eliyahu Hanavi, please, if you can please come, So he says, okay, since you asked nice, okay, no problem, I'll come with you. So this is Eliyahu Hanavi, all right? So Achav, had the temerity of suggesting that, how can you say that the reason why his children died building Yericho is because of the klal of Yeshua? The klal of his Rebbe never came about, So Eliyahu Hanavi, being Eliyahu Hanavi, immediately says, okay, no rain. Finish. Kaput. From now on, no rain. So now the Gemara says that the keys for 3 events are in the hands of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. He doesn't give to anybody else. One of them is the key for rain. The second is the key for Tchias HaMesim, right? And the third, what was the key? Anyone remembers? Childbirth, occurs. Eliyahu Hanavi says, okay, from now on, there's going to be no more rain. Finished. Everybody out of the water. We're changing the water out of the pool. Finished. No more rain. So Eliyahu Hanavi gets the key of rain. For 3 years, there's no rain. 3 years, no rain, no food, nothing.
Famine.
Horrendous famine. So during that time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Eliyahu Hanavi, look, Achav is going to look for you, especially on behest of his wife, Izebel, who is the big supportress of Avodah Zarah, of the Baal in Eretz Yisrael. She's the queen, and so Eliyahu Hanavi goes to Nachal Krit. He's hiding there. He's drinking from the water of the fountain over there. But where did he get food? So Kadosh Baruch Hu sends messengers. The messenger of Kadosh Baruch Hu is crows. Crows go to the kitchens of Achav. Ovid Avodah Zarah, yes. But the kitchen, 100% kosher. So the crows come to the kitchen of Achav of Melech Israel, and they take meat from the royal banquet, whatever, and they bring it to Elisha. Comes the question, how can Elisha eat it? You have a loche of boson shenisala min ha'ayin, right? A meat that people didn't look at, wasn't under ashgacha at a certain time. You cannot eat it. You don't know. Maybe it's been exchanged or whatever. So, but over here it's different because the whole thing was done under ashgacha of Kadosh Baruch Hu. You don't have a better mashgiach kashrus than a Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? So he's watching the Irvin exactly what meat they take, and this is the meat that they bring to Elisha. Why dafka the Irvin? Eliyahu, I'm sorry, to Eliyahu. The end of the story is, just to wrap it up, before we can actually zoom in into this union of the Irvin, of the crows that bring the food, is that Tzimtzah Kadosh Baruch Hu is Rachmanas Olam Israel. Okay, Eliyahu is a kapdan, but Kadosh Baruch Hu has Rachmanas. So at a certain point, he tells him, go out, go to a city of Tzarfas, and there's a woman that a widow with her small child, and she's the one that supports Eliyahu Novi, he comes there. So he says, go to her house and live by her. So he goes there, and the story goes that he comes there, and she was poor. She has the last, I don't know, 100 grams or whatever it is of flour, and she has a little water, and she's looking for some kindle, some wood, so she can like bake a little cake for herself and for her son. That's the end. There's no more food. So she and her son will eat that and then die of famine, of hunger. So, oh man. So Eliyahu Navi comes to her, he shows himself to her, and he tells her, I said, what are you doing? She tells him what she's doing. So he says, you make this little cake. First of all, you feed me, and you will, and your son will eat the rest. And from now on, you'll never lack any food. So she does it. He has a noschachol, and that's what happens. While he's there, her son dies. So obviously she becomes very, very upset. And she tells Eliyahu, until you came, in Shemaim, nobody looked at me. Like, who am I? But now you came to me, and suddenly the Kedusha in my house is like, turned up, like 1,000,000%. Now they start looking at me. Who is she? And they took my son. So Eliyahu, wants to revive the child. The child is dead. Okay, let's revive him. Baruch says, yeah, I have two keys, Akoros and Tchias and you have the key of the rain. If I give you the key to Tchias they'll say that the Rebbe has one key and the servant has two. That can't be. You want the key to Tchias you have to give me back the key of rain. Okay, so he changes, gives it back to him, and then Baruch says, okay, go ahead, go tell Achav, whatever it is. Then comes the episode on the Mount Carmel, bringing all the Via Baal, the whole story. But the point is, why Dafka the Orvim? Why Dafka the crows? A crow is the single animal that is cruel over its chicks. What happens is, says the Gemara, that the crows, especially those crows, the crows, I think they grow in the southern part of Eretz Yisrael. They are black. The crows that we have over here, part gray, part black, kind of like that. But what? It's a raven with the black one? The black and gray. Okay, so we're talking about totally black, jet black. And what happens is that when the nekeva, lays eggs and they hatch, when they hatch, they have a plumage that is white. So the nekeva doesn't recognize her. My children are supposed to be black. Those are not my children. So she doesn't feed them. So Kadosh Baruch Hu makes a nest for them, and there are like mosquitoes, larvae, whatever it is, in their feces, and they eat that till they grow a little bit, and then they have, black feathers that come about, and then the mother comes and okay, those are my kids, and she starts feeding them. So there is this in a Torah mitkayem, is a Torah cannot reside. Somebody who is cruel over his children, like an oirav is. So from here, what we take from this particular story is that an oirav, a crow, is a cruel animal, especially cruel animal, to the point that it doesn't even have rachmanas on its children. Who HaKadosh Baruch Hu orders to feed Eliyahu? The one bird that is the symbol of cruelty, of miserliness, of not caring about anybody else. That's the Erev. That's the pasuk that we start. Rabbeinu says, Ze Pchinas Tzedakah. I've ordered the crows to support you. The crows who are the symbol of cruelty. They are the one who are being summoned to sustain you. Ze Pchinas Tzedakah. Tell Rabbeinu as follows. Ki batchilo, kshematchilin niznadev letzedakah. The very beginning, when you start giving tzedakah, starting into the avodah of tzedakah, azai tzrichin l'shabe es achzores shaloi lehapcho lerachmanos. One needs to break, to crack his inborn cruelty, miserliness, lehapcho lerachmanos, and to turn it over to rachmanos. V'zeu ikar avodas tzedakah. That is the crux of avodah of tzedakah. You would think that avodah of tzedakah is to give, for the poor person to have. That's the main avodah. He says no. The main inyan over here is to break the innate achzorius with rachmanos. The ikar avodah tzedakah. Says Rabbeinu, kimishu rachman b'tivo is somebody who is soft, is rachman b'tivo. You know, tzedakah mechmat rachmanos b'tivo. You give tzedakah because he's naturally, he's a rachman. It's a enz avodah. It's not an avodah. It's very good. Schar tzedakah. Tzedakah is a great thing, but it's not the avodah of tzedakah. This it is not. There are few animals that by nature, are rachmanistic. They're rachmanis on ikar avodah. The main avodah is the shaber achzoris lehapchoy lerachmanis, and to turn the achzoris into rachmanis. V'zeh bechinas v'es ha'orvim tzivizeh chalkaleka. I have ordered the crows to sustain you. The nature of the oirev is cruelty, is stinginess. And it was flipped over and became rachmanis in order to sustain Eliyahu Hanavi. The same thing is necessary in the avodah of tzedakah. And all the ones with the open-hearted, generous, lemishu nadvan. Anybody who is generous, anybody who's about tzedakah, first of all, he has to go through that route of breaking the achzorius with rachmanis. First of all, they have to break their innate cruelty. That which they have cruelty, by their nature. And to then to give over tzedakah. That union of this avodah, of the beginning of it, of the tzedakah, it is very difficult and it's very heavy. All the tshuvas are always difficult. In other words, the funny movements that people are with Hashem doing the avodah. The main thing is in the beginning. The main thing is in the very beginning, because all the beginnings are difficult, because you're turning from one mode to another. The Rambam says that when somebody wants to work over his midos, it should be like a pendulum. We'll go from one midah all the way to the other extreme, because he has to break the midah. And once you go to the other extreme, then you settle in the middle. The pendulum finally settles in the middle, and that's when. But first of all, you have to break it all the way down the other side. Okay. Over here, is the first lesson in Avodas Hashem. You need to break that which comes naturally. Okay, so how do you do it? How do you break the achsaris with achmonas? Says give tzedakah. Okay, give tzedakah says anyhow, right? Let's say, how do you know? It's very simple. How much tzedakah do you usually give? Come to shul in the morning, all right? What do you give? What do you give? A shekel? Give two. No, it's too much. Oh, now you're talking. That's breaking the achsaris. If you give 5 shekels, give 6. If there's somebody that you enjoy giving, then there's somebody else. I don't like him. In Hebrew, they say, "Lo bali betov." Lo bali tov ba'inayim. For some reason, something about him that really repels me. I don't want to give him. In other words, whenever it is that you get to a boundary, it stops becoming comfortable. Then you have an inner resistance. That's the siman that this is where the boundary is. This is what you're supposed to. This is where you're supposed to break. And the Rebbe he mentions here is all the avodas are like that. Everything is like that. Waking up in the morning to go to a minyan is like that. Learning Torah is like that. The point is that the natural tendency is to say, like, okay, what does it mean to break my nature and to learn Torah? Okay, means I need to sit and learn for 8 hours, 4 hours minimum, and then you can't. Whatever it is that you have in your mind, that's the pshat of learning Torah. 8 hours, 5 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is that 1 hour, whatever it is your saga is, and you try it, and unsurprisingly, it doesn't work out. So what happens? You say, there's no way I can do it. And you give up. That's one of the hardships in the beginning of any avodah, of tzedakah, of Torah, of keeping the keeping one from being angry, all those things. The first etzas hayetzer is Rabbeinu says in Torah Aleph, Chelek Rishon Likutey Moharan, the Yetzer hide himself in mitzvahs. He camouflages itself. This is Haigala the matbel asfinte mischazek hitzosisa the nur chivata bereishei. That Rashbam says it's esh levana, it's white fire, and malach maziku. It's an avenging angel. It comes from Tumah. What do you mean? I'm supposed to be able to give 20% minimum. Okay, but I already owe money. So what am I going to do? How am I going to do that? Well, that depends, how you are. Meaning, if you are in a mode, you know yourself, then you know that you make your payments, you pay your chayvus. It can take, it can take time. You do it in Mesilas Yesharim. Where the bevada you should give tzedakah. But if you know yourself and you don't pay your chayvus, and they just keep on growing, listen. I don't ask for money because if I ask for money, what they give me a shekel, 5 shekels. I need money. So what I say, lend me money. Oh, okay. People are willing to lend money. So I take the money, 50 shekels, 100 shekels. I'll pay you in 2 days, in a week, for sure. Yeah, I'll give you a star so you'll see that I'm ehrlich about this. I mean it. And I'm giving him the star. Now the problem is that how much can 100 shekel last? It'll last that long. There's oak. So I go to another person and I said, listen, can you lend me 100 shekels or 500 shekels? Okay, and I'll pay you in a week. Because you know that there's some money coming in a week, whatever. So comes the question, who are you going to pay? The second or the first? So make a husband. I better pay the second because the first one is burnt is anyhow. I mean, can go back to him. I didn't pay him. So I'll pay the second one. At least I'll keep the source of money open so I'll be able to borrow again. Lo and behold, another week you need another 100 shekels. So who are you going to pay? The first or the second or the third? Of course, the third, because the first and the second are already burnt out. You can't. And then, lo and behold, suddenly, mishamayim, you get a lump sum of money. You get 1,000 shekels. Let's say that you already owe 1,000 shekels altogether. Personal the person owes 1,000 shekels because Baruch sends him 1,000 shekels. Now you have money to pay back. So you get the money. Not you, the person gets the money. He says, now I got to pay back, right? If I pay, okay, I go and pay that person 1,000 shekels, means I'm left with nothing. What I'm going to do afterwards? I'm going to borrow from other people. But he doesn't know that I got 1,000 shekels. So I can really pay him whatever it is that they want, right? He'd be very happy with everything. I'll give him 800. And by the time a person goes out towards that person to give him the 800 shekels, it diminishes to 500 shekels. He'll be very happy with 500 because the person doesn't expect any back. Then that person better hurry to pay that 500 shekels because by the time he gets that person, will go down to 250. Because that person is going to stay without any money. So, because if you stay any longer, the rule of thumb with debts is that unless you pay them, the money is gone, but the debt remains. So now the thing is that you can't speak derogatorily of people they don't have. You don't know. People pass various experiences during their lives. Some people were ditched, were rejected, were abandoned emotionally, physically, by the people that were supposed to support them, supposed to, either the parents or the teachers or whatever it is. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. So that gives such a person the feeling that he has no backing. He's all alone. So it can come about, it can express itself, with money. If I don't have any money, I don't have any recourse. So, but the point is that particular person has a life cycle that works like that. Many times it takes a very strong shock to knock a person out of this kind of cycle. It can be bankruptcy. Suddenly he's forced, because when somebody lives on loans. Okay, so you can buy a new table for Yom Tov. Everybody's supposed to sit around a broken table. So you buy a new table. So how are you going to pay for the table? Take a loan. Take a loan for everything. So you take a loan, more loan, and another loan. What's the difference if you owe 100,000 shekels or 110,000 shekels? Who's counting, right? And it's like that. So it's another 10,000 shekels. What's the big deal? Make my wife happy. Suddenly, boom, there's tzalapoal or whatever it is, and you go through the whole rigmarole, and suddenly, it knocks sense into you, and suddenly you learn how to live within your means, whatever it is. Beseder, beseder, beseder. But there's one thing that such a person needs to understand. Whenever money comes in, it's not your money. If you would have been somebody that has debts, who's like almost had a mortgage and he's paying a mortgage, whatever it is, doesn't mean that it's not money. That's your money. But if all your money is like that, it means that the money. I'm afraid to tell you that because I know that you're not going to listen. But anyhow, you can't even go to Uman. You can pay. It's not your money. This money belongs to your debtors. Unless, of course, they agree that you should go to Uman, beseder. Or somebody pays for your ticket to Uman. You can't go to the Rebbe for Rosh Hashanah. You can't spend the money. It's not your money. It's not an easy thing. Not only is it not an easy thing, the point is that tshuva is good, atones for everything, practically everything. But if a person is leaving this world, leaving debts behind, he has to come back. In the Gemara, it says who is Shoigig, whatever. The judge is a famous Meiser, the Baal Shem Tov with the Magid. The Baal Shem Tov sent him and to a certain tree and watch and see what happens. Then comes a wealthy man is resting under the tree by the brook, and he leaves and he sees that he forgot a purse, a satchel with money, with coins. And then comes another person and finds it. A Metzia. And he takes it and he leaves. Then comes a poor person and sits down, sits to rest. And the first person comes and says, "Where's my money?" He says, "I don't know what the heck you're talking about." So he beats him up, whatever it is, such, and there's no money there. So he came back to the Baal Shem Tov. Because he asked the Baal Shem Tov, was Pshay Ela Mishpotim, Zoya says, Daraza the Gilgula, that's the secret of Gilgulim, of incarnations, reincarnations. So he says that the person that lost the money and in the previous Gilgul he owed the money to the other guy, the second guy that found the money. He owed him the money, and he took him to Beis Din. And the guy in the Beis Din paskin wrong. That the money really belonged to the person who was actually hired. Okay, what can you do? All three of them had to come the Gilgul. And the one who owed the money lost it. The one who was owed the money found it. And the Dayan is the poor person that got beat up. By whom? By the one who lost the money. Because he doesn't know. His mazel knows. Because of him, he had to come back Megilgal. Because he misjudged. Because if the judge would, the Dayan would have passed him correctly, none of them would have to come to this world again in the Gilgal. There's a Maisa that I heard from I believe it's from Chaim Volozhin. I'm saying Barlev told me this, that Reb Chaim Volozhin, was a very, very great person, that he went to yeshiva at night, and he was strolling in the yeshiva at night, and he saw a bocher that was niftar. Chaim Volozhin was on that madrega. He saw a niftar. Was a bocher, a tzaddik, really somebody very, very special. So he asked him, "What are you doing here?" So he said that he used to reside by Almona, an inn, whatever, and he owed her. He left debt of mamish a few pennies. So they wouldn't let him they wouldn't let him into Gan Eden because he owes money in this world. So he asked the Rosh Yeshiva can please tell one of his chaver, whatever it is, in the yeshiva who is still alive, to give him the money to give to this almona so that he can get into his place in Gan Eden. Now, what I told you now is not only a cautionary tale regarding borrowing money and not paying back. Because the one who owes the money is not the only one who has to come back. The one who is owed the money also has to come back. Yeah, has to pay him back. So therefore, an Eitzah Tova, for anybody who owes money or is owed money, is to make it nigh. The money, somebody who's owed money, so make it nigh. It doesn't do it in a way that is moral, that, I want my money back. Hey, But if it so happens that either of us, comes to the end of his days without repaying the debt, I'm Michael. He doesn't know me. The same thing if you have debtors, speak to them and tell them, look, I have full intention of paying you back, every single penny. But do me and you a favor. If chas v'chalila it so happens that either one of us, leaves this world without having this debt settled, that's your Michael. If he can't pay and whatever it is, the person knows you, whatever it is, you can ask him to be Michael B'chlal. If you can't, I don't know, all depends. But kichlal, it's not a, and you can make it nigh, I don't know, whatever it is, if the person knows you, doesn't know you, does he think that you're going to get away with murder, whatever it is? What difference does it make if I'm trying to get away with murder? You want me to be Michael, because you don't want to pay me, right? You won't pay me. I'll be Michael. You, everybody is scot-free. I ain't playing this game. I say, listen, don't be foolish. Do it for yourself. You can do it in such a way that, make it Michael on such a way that, that if I really tried to the best of my ability and I could, whatever, so do it in such a way, that, then I'll be Michael, whatever it is. I know a person over here that I think he's still alive, that would give loans to people. I remember he lent me money once. I remember I came, I paid him back, and he was shocked. He says, nobody pays back. Who pays back a loan? He's a big businessman. He says, nobody pays back a loan. Because when I give the loan out, in my mind, it's finished. It's a gift. And every time I met him afterwards, I said, you're the one who paid the loan. But it's difficult. I don't have money. What am I going to do? My childhood, I was like and I have a fear of abandonment because when I was a child, and this and that. So I can't be that guilty. Well, maybe not. But having to come back and is not funny. It's not funny at all. So what do I have to do? Break the achzoris. That fact that you don't want to pay, whatever it is that you can, doesn't matter. The thing you don't want to pay, because I promise you, if you owe the money and you start paying, doesn't matter how little it is, you're breaking the achzaras with the rachmanas, as in we learn in the Torah, you'll succeed. You'll be matzliach. You'll pay everything back. You will. But because of this use, I'm never going to do that. I'll never be able to do that. Come on. Who am I kidding? I'm no good. I never was good. I'll never be good. Forget about it. Might as well just enjoy the money and finish that I don't have. Break the chzorius with rachmanis. Take money. Take from the money and give. Give. Repay. Whatever it is you can. Something, whatever hurts, this is what you should pay. Go over the pain threshold. To pay 50 shekels, that's all right. 100 shekels. It's going to have to pay 100 shekels. Whatever the factor is, this is what you do to break the achzoris with rachmanis. This, my friends, is avodas Hashem. The same thing we're waking up in the morning to go to a minyan. The same thing when my wife is busting my chops to keep my mouth shut and just be shemea bizyoina yidin ve'ishtoi. All those things, when you get to the threshold, this is too much. Okay, if it's too much, this is exactly what you got to give. This is too much to swallow. That's exactly what you're going to swallow. I mean, now she really crossed the boundary. Okay, this is what I accept. That's exactly what I want. Here we are in the midst of Pesach. We're starting to get kalim for the tremendous light that we got in the Seder. We are all one people. It's Hashem. Tomorrow night is Chris Hemsworth, right? It's Hashem. Tremendous das, tremendous esrotzim to ask for everything, for anything. My advice to you, ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu you should be zeicher to pay all your debts. Every single penny. The Rebbe was very particular about that. Don't get meshed up with loans. Don't get in there. Cut your credit card. Don't get in there. Don't get there. Hashem will help us. First of all, and we'll, finish Chag HaPesach, being nizer, not nichshel, with a crumb of chometz, chas v'shalom. So after Pesach, we can already have chometz. We can have the das, the gilui das, the das gdoilo, and the koine das, but the Chag HaShavuos, b'shvus. And Bezrat Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu should help each and every one of us realize as we get to the boundaries where the inner resistance, itnagdut, raises up. I don't want to do that. Take one more step, because that's avodas Hashem. This is what avodas Hashem is about. Should ever get the moed, get Shabbos, and Kol Tov, what Hashem now. the ship is sailed. We started Teredalit. Chelik Beis, Kol Tu, V'tzlocha B'kol Inyanim.